In the ancient world, where gods and mortals often intertwined, the city of Troy stood as a beacon of prosperity and power. It was a time when heroes roamed the earth, their deeds immortalized in song and legend. The story of the Trojan War begins with an event that set the stage for one of the greatest conflicts in history. At a grand wedding feast on Mount Olympus, Eris, the goddess of discord, cast a golden apple inscribed with the words, "For the fairest." The goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each claimed the apple, and it fell to Paris, a prince of Troy, to decide who was the fairest. Aphrodite promised him the love of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris awarded the apple to Aphrodite, setting in motion a chain of events that would lead to war. Helen was the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. When Paris took her to Troy, Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, called upon the leaders of Greece to honor their oaths and help retrieve her. Thus began the Siege of Troy, a war that would last for 10 years and become the stuff of legend. The call to arms echoed across Greece, summoning heroes from far and wide. Among them were Achilles, the invincible warrior, Odysseus, the cunning king of Ithaca, and Ajax, the mighty warrior of unparalleled strength. These and many others gathered at Aulis, where they prepared to sail to Troy. As the winds failed to blow, the seer Calchas revealed that the goddess Artemis demanded a sacrifice. Agamemnon, torn between duty and love, made the heart-wrenching decision to sacrifice his daughter, Iphigenia, to appease the goddess and ensure their passage. With heavy hearts, the Greeks set sail, knowing that this act would haunt them. They arrived on the shores of Troy, ready to lay siege to the city and reclaim Helen. The Greek forces landed on the beaches of Troy, clashing with the Trojan defenders in a brutal first encounter. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, clashing swords, the whistling of arrows, and the cries of the wounded. Among the chaos, the heroes began to distinguish themselves. Achilles, with his unmatched skill and fury, cut through the Trojan ranks like a storm. His presence on the battlefield was terrifying and awe-inspiring. But even Achilles, the greatest of the Greeks, was not immune to the whims of fate. As the war dragged on, the Greek forces found themselves at an impasse. Achilles, angered by Agamemnon's arrogance and the seizure of his prize, Briseis, withdrew from battle, leaving the Greeks vulnerable. Without Achilles, the Greeks suffered heavy losses. Hector, the noble prince of Troy and a warrior of great honor, led the Trojan forces to several victories, pushing the Greeks back to their ships. Desperate to turn the tide, Patroclus, Achilles' closest friend, donned Achilles' armor and led the Greeks into battle. His valor inspired the troops, and for a moment it seemed the tide had turned. But Hector, thinking Patroclus was Achilles, struck him down. The death of Patroclus was a turning point. The grief and rage of Achilles knew no bounds. His heart, once hardened by pride, now burned with the fire of vengeance. Achilles returned to the battlefield, his fury unstoppable. He sought out Hector, challenging him to a duel. The duel was fierce and heartbreaking. Hector fought bravely, but Achilles' rage and skill were overwhelming. As Hector lay dying, he begged Achilles to return his body to his family for a proper burial. Achilles, consumed by anger, refused. Achilles dragged Hector's body around the walls of Troy, a gruesome display that shocked both Greeks and Trojans. Priam, the aged king of Troy and father of Hector, ventured into the Greek camp under the cover of night. He approached Achilles, humbling himself before the man who had killed his son. Priam's plea was a moment of profound humanity. He begged Achilles for his son's body, appealing to the warrior's own sense of loss and honor. Achilles, moved by Priam's bravery and sorrow, agreed to return Hector's body. A temporary truce was declared for the funeral rites, and both sides mourned the fallen hero. This moment of peace amidst the chaos of war was fleeting, but it left a lasting impression on all who witnessed it. Despite the brief respite, the war showed no signs of ending. The Greeks, weary and desperate, devised a cunning plan to infiltrate Troy. Under the guidance of Odysseus, they constructed a massive wooden horse, hiding a select group of warriors inside. The rest of the Greek forces pretended to sail away, leaving the horse as a supposed offering to the gods. The Trojans, believing the Greeks had finally given up, brought the wooden horse into their city. That night, as the city slept, the Greek warriors emerged from the horse and opened the gates for their comrades. The Greeks poured into the city, catching the Trojans off guard. Fires erupted, and the streets ran red with blood. The once great city of Troy fell, its walls breached, and its people slaughtered or taken captive. The fall of Troy marked the end of a bitter conflict, but the cost was immense. The Greeks had won, but their victory was tainted by the destruction and loss they had endured. As they prepared to return home, they faced new challenges and trials. The war was over, but the journey home would prove just as perilous. For some, like Agamemnon, tragedy awaited. For others, like Odysseus, the gods had more trials in store. Agamemnon returned to Mycenae, only to be murdered by his wife, Clytemnestra, and her lover, Aegisthus. The cycle of violence and revenge continued, a grim reminder of the war's lasting impact. Odysseus, the wily hero, faced a long and arduous journey home, filled with encounters with mythical creatures and divine wrath. His story, the Odyssey, would become another epic tale of perseverance and ingenuity. The tale of the Trojan War is one of heroism, tragedy, and the enduring human spirit. It is a story of gods and mortals, of love and revenge, and of the timeless struggle for honor and glory. The Trojan War is more than a tale of conflict. It is a reflection of the human condition, a testament to the courage and resilience that define us. As long as there are voices to tell the tale and ears to hear it, the story of the Trojan War will live on,